everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions. I'm your co-host, Laura, and I'm joined, of course, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions. Welcome, Bill.
This week.
This is Technology Week. So I was going to come up with some clever tagline, but I don't have one. So I suppose we are the drive time radio show without a commute.
Yeah, sure. We're the most Gen X show you've ever listened to.
That's absolutely true. I also thought about the show where the opinions are made up and points don't matter, but that's a completely different show. That is not our show. So, Bill, what are you drinking today?
Today? Day Blazer by New Belgium, and it's because you can buy a case of it for about $13.
For $13. Also, my cat is trying to open the door to my office, so that's going to be fun when she manages to do it.
Yeah, that'll be easy. Yes, special guest.
Special guest toast. So it's super cheap, which is always good. It's good to have on hand. I can never find my camera. Tucker Brewing Company. Tucker is a town in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. It's a short drive from where I am currently sitting. And it's Tucker Pilsner, which is refreshingly crisp with a floral hop aroma.
Huh.
I didn't have a technology themed beer, so.
Yeah. Huh.
So we're just drinking what's good.
Well, I tend to just buy a pile of whatever there is right now and stock up, and I'm not like going crazy looking for rare beers because, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. But today's topic is not beer, although we could honestly talk about beer forever. Today's topic is about technology.
Yeah.
So, Bill Perkins, what are your thoughts on technology?
I guess I think it's a necessary evil. I don't know. I don't even know if I'd say it's evil. There's parts of it I don't like. So to backtrack a little bit, I work in technology, and I have since I got out of college. I got an art degree in college. I don't know what I was thinking with that, but the last year or so of college, I had a work study position that started out monitoring the computer lab. I think they just wanted me to keep people from putting acetate in the printer. That was it. Don't put acetate, because people would make this is back when we still had those overhead thingies.
Oh, yes.
Old school ones. Anyway, people would come in there and they would try to run their acetate sheets through the laser printer. And this was brand new. Laser printers were fairly new. This was 1995. They were a new technology. They were probably a lot hotter than they are now. They would warp up the piece of acetate, and it would cause a paper jam. So my job was to sit there and make sure no fool tried to shove acetate in the printer, and to make sure nobody stole the trackballs out of the mice.
Right. Yes, I remember learning how to do that very early on.
So I'm sitting in this computer lab every night. Internet's a new thing. It's been around for a year or so. It's really just getting kind of big, and everybody on Earth suddenly got a website. And I'm sitting there every night surfing the web because I got nothing better to do. And I'm like, everybody's got a website. I should have a website. What's this website stuff all about? So I basically taught myself HTML.
Nice.
While I was sitting there every night, started myself a website, hosted it on, I think it was on this thing called Tripod, which is kind of like GeoCities, but it was a different one.
Right. Like Angel Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, Angel Fire, GeoCities, and Tripod, I think were the first big three, free or cheap hosting sites, and I got on there and learned everything I could about HTML. I ended up taking a JavaScript class for audit my last semester of school, because I didn't want it to affect my GPA if I sucked at it, but I was interested in it. And when I got out of school, because I had self-taught myself HTML, I actually took a job editing and completely revising the South Carolina State Department of Education's website.
Wow.
So for about 6 months, I did that, and in addition to that, I was also working another part-time job as a help desk person for an ISP, actually an ISP out of Michigan, but I was working in a call center that did the help desk stuff for this tiny ISP up in Michigan called the Internet Ramp. That I think it ran all the rural areas of Michigan surrounding Detroit, not inner Detroit, but like all the
everything that's not Detroit, because that's one of the things about Michigan. For those that don't know, this is Michigan, and Detroit is just this area, and literally everything else is not Detroit.
Yeah. Well, I just meant the stuff that's on the same side of the hand with Detroit, but it's not Detroit. I mean, we weren't like Ann Arbor or any of that, but we were, all the Flint and I don't know what the other big cities, and I can't remember. Big cities,
Right.
Big suburbs is what we were doing. And it was kind of a funny job, because people would call, and because it was a small company that we were working for, I remember it was because it was like a local ISP in Michigan. They'd call and they'd be like, "Oh, so where are you guys at over on a 4 Mile Road or what?" We would be like, "No, I'm in South Carolina." And it was so fun. Just to show you how long ago this was. So the main thing I did at that job, I did two things. So Windows 95 had just rolled out. Windows 95 had a built-in, like you didn't have to download special software. It was built in, already had everything you need to get on the internet. You just had to plug it in, and you had to put in a couple of, you had to put in like an IP and some other crap, and then it would, and it would connect to the internet.
Right.
And so basically I did that. Like new customers would call and we give them all the little things to put in the thing. This was back in the day when you say, okay, now you're ready to get on the internet, so I'm gonna have to get off the phone with you because you're gonna
right
phone line.
Right.
Before people had separate phone lines for internet. I mean, the well-to-do did, but not everybody did. So there was that. The second task I did at that job was people would call and go, "My inbox is stuck. It won't take any more messages." And I would go into the back door of their inbox and I would delete the thing that was clogging up their inbox. And the thing that was clogging up their inbox was Ooga Chukka Dancing Baby every time. You remember that?
I do. Who doesn't? I mean, that was in the heyday of the early internet with that and the hamster dance and the best things ever.
It was a file. It was like a AVI file or something that everybody was like attaching to an email, sending to their friend, and it was too big for the inboxes of the day.
Right.
And so it would just like that was it. Like if your friend forwarded that to you, your inbox was done until you called the help desk. So that was my job. Was taking care of that. That was my.
Really Has Opinions newsroom is working again.
Yeah. These guys are standing by for.
Also, nobody is standing by, and we don't have a phone number, so don't call. But as a quick reminder, you can comment below, and we would love to hear from you while we are on the show. As our friend Jay from Michigan says, "Badger, badger, badger, badger," because that was the early days of the internet too. Exactly. Yeah, the early days of the internet were an interesting time, and it's actually both hard to believe that we've come so far, and
that we haven't come any
such a short period of time. Because I realize I'm older. That was, over 20 years ago now. But the fact that we've accomplished so much with the internet in over 20 years is insane.
Yeah. So that's my background in technology. What's your background with technology? I know you do some technology stuff too.
Well, I do. I don't do anything formally with technology. I used to work for the temporary staffing industry, and we had, programs and things that we used. I was actually there the time the first company I worked for switched from literal paper files on every employee to having an online database. Where literally when I started, I had to pull out books of people and flip through them to make the phone calls to get people to go to temporary assignments.
Wow.
Which is kind of stupid and took forever, but without any other options, what were you supposed to do?
I remember I used to own a Rolodex when I first got out of college. I still had a Rolodex. And it was interesting because at the time people were just starting to put their email addresses and their websites on their business cards. It was like a new thing, and that was unique to me. But yeah, then that shortly went away because you could put all that.
Well, right, and not only can you have all that at your fingertips, but like I don't remember anyone's phone numbers anymore. I have no idea. I know my phone number. I know Matt's phone number. I know my parents' phone number because it's their phone number from like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's everything else is just in my phone.
But you're using that same space that you would have put phone numbers for passwords now.
Yes. Which is, I think, passwords is absolutely a topic we're going to come back to later this show. But yeah, so now I pretty much do. I work online, which we'll also talk about working from home a little bit later on the show. But I'm a writer, so everything I do is online. So I still use Microsoft Word. I have not graduated into Google Docs, although I can use it. I just choose not to. So there's some things I'm still hanging on to.
The only thing that Google Docs or any Google program has going over the similar Microsoft thing is the fact, A, that it's free. That's a plus, I guess. B, that it initially was easier to share, right? Because it was online. You could get to it no matter what computer you were at. You could just, if you got on the internet and you logged in, bam, there was your stuff. And so I initially thought it was cool for that, but over time, the thing, I don't know if you remember, but it must have been probably over a decade now, but there was a Super Bowl commercial called The Good Lighting Stranger, and this guy was singing the Moonlighting theme.
I remember.
About Google. And it's because Google will say, hey, we're going to do this now. And they'll do it for like 5 minutes. And they're like, all right, we're tired of that. The hell with it, And so even if they come up with a good idea, they're not going to support it. They don't ever hang on to it for long enough. So that's the issue. The Google Lighting Stranger, they will not support a thing for more than 10 minutes. And then they're like, yeah, we found something more shiny we're going to go bother with. And so that's my issue. That's where Microsoft excels over Google, is that, Microsoft's still going to help you over, the course of time. Like, that program will keep being expounded upon. Now, that said, here's my first opinion bone to pick, okay, about programs.
All right.
Because we're talking about Microsoft, every 5 to 8 years or so, some programmer over at Microsoft gets a wild hair up his ass, and I think it's somewhat like maybe one of those, I got to justify my position things, where he decides to redesign the entire menu. You know what I'm saying? He'll be like, yeah, it's been a couple of years. This has been the same for long enough. Let's screw around with it. It's like, dude, I memorize where everything's at now.
Right.
Like, I know where to go to find that thing, and now you're going to start screwing around with it. And I mean, I still don't think I've gotten used to how the file menu works now. I'm always clicking on the wrong damn thing when I'm trying to print or something, and it takes me about 3 minutes to find, because they screwed with it 2 iterations ago or something, and I'm still living in the past. And
Right. No, I will agree. And in fact, Microsoft recently did an update, and now your Word will update as Microsoft updates because it's all connected to the cloud.
Right.
And there was a function that I used regularly in my business, and one day it was just gone, and I don't know how to recreate it. I have no idea where it went, and so now I just sort of stumble through it and figure it out and do it ass backwards, but because I just haven't bothered to try to figure out where it went or why, and that's been weeks. So I stopped bothering.
Another thing, because you were speaking about updates, this reminds me of another thing I hate. It's like at the most inconvenient times ever.
Yeah.
Microsoft's like, hey, it's time to update. I'll just be like tying up your computer for the next 45 minutes to 4 hours. And the worst thing to me is it seems like it always does this. Like I'm getting ready to go out, back when we used to go out, when that was a thing. Be getting ready to go out with the wife or some friends. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to print that Groupon.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to get on here and print the Groupon. And as soon as you turn on the computer, you got something you need to do like in 5 minutes. You turn the computer on and it's like, oh, hey, I need to run these updates now. And you're like, nah, I don't have time for that crap, And
then it's like 15% for the next 2 hours. You're like,
yeah, one of those.
Exactly. But so we've already been pimping Google and Microsoft, although they have not paid sponsorship for this.
Oh.
It's freebie. But do we have some station break notes? Do we want to talk about anybody this week?
Well, as usual, I'm going to talk about the Purple Onion, where I'm coming at you from. Purple Onion in downtown Saluda, North Carolina, starting Thursday. They're back to offering food for people. It's not going to be eat in, obviously, but delivery and takeout. They're looking to sort you out. And hold on a sec. Since we're on the internet and we're talking about the stuff here, there was a URL I was going to say. toastlab.com/the-purple-onion. You can place a to-go order. You can schedule your to-go order already. There's a menu in there. Nice. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there. Yeah,
and we'll add it to the comments after the show.
Absolutely.
So people can just click on it.
Yeah, if anybody is in the area, if you live between Hendersonville and Spartanburg and you're looking for something besides your canned goods and your frozen meals that you've been eating for the last month, there's an alternative for you. Anybody who lives further out than that, you're still welcome to it. It's just a little bit of a haul, probably.
Sure. Well, and sometimes if you just want to go for a drive, you grab some takeout and you're not eating in your own house. You can eat in your car, whatever you want to do.
A drive has been a thing that we've done a little lately. We also wanted to give a shout out to our friend Jill, who made.
Yes, Jill helped us with. Oops, I just made it go away. Jill helped us with this logo right here. Mostly so that we can make it into t-shirts. So if you would like to buy a t-shirt, visit threadless.com. Bill Has Opinions is the name of our store. And Jill is a graphic designer and her business name is Rowan Arts. And you can find it, I believe, at rowanarts.com or something like that. And we'll put the link in the comments after the show as well. But if you're looking for some graphic design work for your business or whatever, or to make silly t-shirts for your silly blog, you can do that.
Don't call my blog.
All right. What's a better word for it? They're just
I don't know.
For silly t-shirts for a very fun blog.
There you go. It might be a tad superfluous.
All right, so you had mentioned a topic earlier, passwords, and I know you've got some opinions about passwords.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
we all have opinions about passwords. Because right now, like you said, our brain is being taken up by strings of random numbers, letters, and other weird wingdings. So tell me, what are your thoughts about passwords?
Okay, so firstly, I have to admit, I'm one of those people who uses the same, like I've got a password I really like, and I use it for 90% of everything, right? Because it's just
Right?
easier to remember one password than it is to remember 400. Um, that being said, obviously, nowadays, it's harder and harder for me to use my standard password um, because the requirements keep getting crazier. It's like, we want you to have 16 digits and half of them need to be numbers and some of them need to be uppercase. And you got to throw three strange characters and at least one with an umlaut in there. And, you know, um, so by the time it's all said and done, you got this crazy thing that the only way to remember it is to write it on a Post-it note, stick it to the corner of your screen, which your IT guy will lose his mind over because, he's gone through all these like, no, somebody's gonna get in your, and but it's ridiculous. And then on top of all that, here's the worst part. Okay, so you have this crazy password that is ridiculous and you can't remember it, and you'll finally get to the point where you muscle memory. Even if you can't remember, like say it out loud, but you'll get a muscle memory for it. And you're just like your hands just do it every morning, and then as soon as you get to that point. And this will be like the Friday before a long weekend. The computer will, hey, it's time to change that password now. I mean, I know it's Labor Day and you're going to be gone, but change that password today or you'll be locked out when you come back in the middle of next week. And you're like, So, yeah, that's a thing that happens to me. Other thing I want to say, about passwords and password resets. You get those websites that you have to have a password for God knows what reason. Like it's not even something that's important. It's not terribly important. It's like a shopping website or something you go to. You shop there once a year, but when you shop there, it demands that you log in or something so it can remember your address or some crap, I guess, or they want to apply your hot topic points or whatever nonsense, like something like that. So you're trying to, and you haven't been there in a year, and so you can try to log in and you use your standard password that you use for 90% of things, and it goes, nah, that's not it. And so then you go, okay, well then you use the one that you used to use before this one, and you type that in, and it goes, nah, that's not it either. So you go ahead and okay, all right, well just go ahead and send me the thing, send me the reset thing there. And it sends you the reset thing, and then it's like, okay, here's a string of random letters and numbers. This is a one-time password. You're going to have to reset it when you log in. You're like, all right, fine. You're going to log in. Okay, what do you want your new password to be? I'm just going to make it my normal thing. You can't use the password you already have.
Yes. Yes. I tried that. Yes, absolutely. I completely hear you.
Every time.
Completely hear you.
So
many times.
That's passwords for you.
Yeah, I actually, so for the Bill Has Opinions thread list, I made a brand new account. I created the password and I decided not to use my normal password because if you wanted to log in, I wanted to be able to give you the password. So it's something completely different. And I thought, this will be easy to remember. And literally 4 days later, I went to log in again. And what I thought was the password I had just made was clearly not the right password. So I tried to type it in and nothing worked, and I reset it, and exactly that thing, when I went to put in the new password, it said, you cannot use one you've already used. And I'm like, I literally just put that in there.
You know what's exactly like this password thing and also technology related? When you go to plug in a USB device, you plug it in the wrong way, you flip it around, you plug it in the wrong way, you flip it around to the way you had it before, and now it goes in. What's that all about?
Every time. Every time. Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I admit I rely on my Microsoft Word or my Microsoft Windows saved passwords. So there's a lot of passwords I literally don't remember.
Yeah, no, I do the same. If you have my computer, you're probably going to get into 80% of my stuff because I just leave them logged in. It's easier,
Also, don't steal our computers because that would suck for everybody.
No, that's bad.
Please don't do that. Our friend Albert, friend of the show Albert, has posted a link to an article that the launch code for U.S. nukes was 0000000 for 20 years. That's actually great information. And today you can't even get a pizza with that password. It's so very true.
Albert's probably got a few things to say about technology too. He's actually a COBOL programmer.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, he's in demand right now.
Yes, he is. All the government websites that are having trouble shipping you your money now are having problems because they were written in COBOL and nobody knows it anymore. Well, right. Albert's actually a few years older than me, and so he knows COBOL. Cyber Amish.
As he describes himself, he's Cyber Amish. I like that.
Yeah.
But speaking of, we don't want to dwell on things on this show, and certainly we want to take a break from any of the pandemic stuff, other than just to randomly mention it sometimes. But we are also all in a unique position right now. Bill, you are now joining those ranks of people working from home who never intended to work from home, which changes the technology dynamic for so many people.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I actually lost a job in January because the company I was working for just filed for bankruptcy abruptly. And thankfully, I'm one of these really lucky people who I got a new job before my severance ran out from the old. I had a week there where I got 2 paychecks, and that was nice.
Nice.
However, I got hired for this new job. When was that? March. It was middle of March, maybe.
Yeah, it was right before all this started. Right before.
Yeah, and then I was supposed to start this job March 30th, and I did start at March 30th, and I went into the office the first day, and they said, "Here's your office." And first off, I was like, what? Because I am 40-something years old. And this is the first time in my life anybody's ever offered me an office. No cubicles. I mean, and I had got to the point where cubicles were okay. I just preferred the high wall to the low wall.
Right.
And I didn't want communal cubicles where like you're back to back with your, coworker.
Right.
I've done all those things, though, in the past. And so, and I could probably have a whole separate show on 90s office bullshit.
We could. Which I'm going to write down for a future idea.
Okay. But, anyway, so they showed me to my new office. And they said, look at this. And I'm like, oh, my very own office for the first time in my life. And they're like, yeah, get out of here. Go home. So I've got my own office sitting at work that I can't go to right now. And they sent me home to work from home. And after I spent a week I tried to work from home. I live far enough down a back road that I can't actually work from home. So that's the reason I bring my podcast to you from the Purple Onion here, which is a 10-minute drive from my home in town, where they have a better internet signal. My internet signal was pretty lousy, so I couldn't work from home. They actually even gave me a little Wi-Fi box thingy. I can't remember what this is called now.
Yeah, like the MiFi.
They gave me a MiFi. This is the hookup, man. I've got my own office. I've got my own MiFi. I've got a 40-inch curved monitor that I had to drive back up to the office one day to steal out of my office because I couldn't work just off the laptop. But I've been working from home now, or home. From I actually work for my wife's office here in the restaurant. And it's been an interesting onboarding process, starting a brand new job, working not at the job. But that said, I mean, it's not obviously, like I say, because I work in technology, it's not a big deal that I don't go to the office. I mean, as long as I can get in everything, which I can.
Right.
And I know everybody's gotten familiar with using Zoom. We use something similar. It's a Microsoft product called Teams. It's a little more secure than Zoom, so people can't come in and draw dicks all over your face in the middle of your presentation or whatever.
That's good. In these trying times, it's a good thing that people can't show you their dick.
Yeah. So that's what we use. And I've lucked out compared to what I've seen from other people in that my job when we're on our conference calls, we just do audio, and that's nice because I don't have to dress up or show my face to anybody or
Right.
a very nice background montage. Although I've got some really good ones saved just in case. There's this one guy on my call who most days he turns on his screen and everybody else doesn't. And he does it just because he's always got a really sweet new background wallpaper. You know, like being on the flight deck of Battlestar Galactica, or he's on Hoth or something like that.
Nice. Definitely a good like, yeah, speaking of technology and Zoom and stuff like that, I don't actually use any of that for my job, and I've been working from home since 2012. If I call a client, it's usually on the phone, just how that has been working. But so I've been using Zoom a lot lately, but it's all been for personal use. And my computer, it's older and it doesn't have a great processor or anything like that. So backgrounds don't work for me. I put it on and it's like I'm in a green screen and it thinks I'm part of the background. So you just see like my glasses or my hair and so I can't use them. And it's funny, but it's impossible.
Yeah, I like this about it. I noticed this one I was playing around with for a minute while we were on the call, because I could turn on the preview over in the corner, but I don't actually turn it on. And I was just screwing around with it because I got some cool backgrounds that I'll probably use, once in a while, maybe, all the time. And I had a background on, and I leaned back like this in my seat, and I disappeared.
Right. And like you froze in that position at the moment too, which made it even better.
Yeah.
Just in that moment, your screen froze. Yay, technology. But it made it even funnier. So we are all getting used to working from home. And I think the best part is that we'll all just get used to this. And then everything will go back to maybe not completely normal, but everybody will go back to work and they'll forget that they were able to work from home for several months in the spring of 2020.
Or, I don't know, like the arguments I'm reading is like saying that, well, this will make everybody realize that you could totally work from home, right? Like, because you did.
Right. Right. And I firmly believe more jobs could be done at home than we previously thought. My last job was very much a tied to the desk, kind of job, but there was no reason for that. And I guarantee you that my former coworkers are all working from home now because it's not an essential business.
Right.
But it's not a non-essential business. Like they're still doing work. They just can do it from home. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. In fact, when I quit that job, my boss was like, oh, maybe you can work from home for us where you're moving to in North Carolina. And we actually talked about it for a while. And one of my coworkers shot it down, said, no, you can't do that. In the long run, it was the best thing for me because I think if I still had that like safety net, I wouldn't have, I would have been completely felt obligated to them, which I'm glad I didn't.
You would have quit.
Yeah, it was better just just quit that job straight up and start doing my own thing. But as an independent contractor, I pretty much just work for myself and with my clients. So it's a completely different situation than most people who are currently working from home, just kind of figuring out how to do their jobs without supervision. I am my boss, so I don't have supervision. And I'm a great boss. I give myself time off. It's fantastic. So another topic we wanted to talk about, and I think this one is near and dear to your heart because we've had several conversations about this, both drunk and sober. Planned obsolescence in technology. We all have cell phones. We all have computers. And heck, now it's even working with dryers and dishwashers. What is your theory on forced or planned obsolescence?
I'm not a fan, I gotta say. So, and the reason Laura brings this up, what was it? Two cell phones ago, I had an iPhone. I had iPhone 5C, and I did too. I like the iPhone. It was a good phone, But then my biggest beef to start with was at the time, I don't think they're doing this anymore, but at the time, Apple had a lot of stuff built into the OS that was it was really superfluous. It was like Apple Health and Apple Music and Apple this and Apple that you just like, there were things that you didn't need all of it. You were like, well, if I'm not using that, let me delete it. And it'd be like, no, you can't delete it. That's part of the OS.
Right.
And then on top of that, the OS was constantly updating. And the apples, you can't modify the apples. There's no expandable memory or anything. And so they have the memory that they were sold with. And
right.
In the meantime, all your programs are constantly updating, and Apple OS was constantly updating. And then there were parts of Apple OS that I didn't use that I couldn't delete. So it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time it ran an update, I had less and less space. It finally got to the point, and all I use my phone for, honest to God, internet and Pokemon. That's what I do. So it got to where I couldn't play my Pokemon game for like 6 months because I ran out of room and I couldn't download the new update of Pokemon because Apple was eating up all the space. And I was so furious about this because I spent $700 on a phone.
Right.
$700 to have a phone that won't let me update Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I absolutely hear you.
So the phone I got after that was an Android phone, and I got it specifically just because I wasn't getting another Apple with their stupid planned obsolescence. And I got that Android phone, and that Android phone, it was I will say this, the Apple phone has a superior battery. That was the biggest thing. And my wife got mad at me after a while because my Android phone, like its battery life got shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where like it would die within an hour of
it would die in an hour of when you freeze up in the screen, which is exactly.
Yeah. In an hour of me charging it would die. And I, or I'd be texting her like, hey, my phone's dying. I can't talk to you the rest of the day or what. And she was like, always like, like you got to get another Apple phone. It has a good battery. So I finally, she beat me down, and I finally went and got another Apple phone. And thankfully, the new Apple OS does not disallow the deletion of certain Apple peripherals that you don't care about. So that's great because I've deleted Apple Health and Apple Music and Apple other nonsense that I don't care about. And I've got all the room in the world for Pokemon. So
that is good stuff. No, I had a 5C as well, and I wanted to use that phone until I could use it no more.
Which was about a year later.
Yeah. No, I did have it for many years, but literally I'd had it for a long time, and one day it simply did not turn on anymore.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do, and it had slowed down a lot. It had gone through all those problems and the updates and all of that. And I don't really mind when Apple updates constantly. I'm okay with it in general. It's just like with Windows updates, it's annoying sometimes when it happens. You're like, no, not today. I was doing something. But that 5C, and the 5C for those who don't remember, because lifespan of Apple products is very, very short. It was the one that had the color on the back, and it was basically an iPod, but it was also a phone. Like it was the first generation after the iPod. So it was fancy with a plastic, colorful cover, which that's why I wanted it, because I like color. I wanted it to have color. But yeah,
what color was yours?
Mine was yellow. And yellow was not my first choice, but they didn't have a orange phone, which is my favorite color, which would have been my first choice.
Okay. I had the yellow also, but the reason I had the yellow was I had mine in a black rubber case. So mostly it was black, but the little places where it peeked out were yellow, and it was like because it was the bat phone, it was like,
right,
this looks cool,
Right. Fair enough. So I did buy after it died, like literally died. It could no longer be revived. It was an X phone. It was pining for the fjords. It I ditched that and I got probably the last iPhone SE in existence, which was like one step up from the C, but there had already been several other models after that. So I'm waiting for the day that my iPhone SE dies because there is no replacement for that. And I don't want to go. So my issue, which is not even a technology issue, it's the size of the freaking phone.
Oh my God. Yep.
I don't need a tablet to talk on the phone. I just want it to be phone sized.
Yeah. No, and that was my beef with my Android. My Android was slightly larger than what's comfortable to put in your pocket. So
Yes.
like you put it in your pocket and then you go get in the car and it would jab you in the guts because it was too big. And that irritated me. And that is one thing I did not like about the Android, that and the battery life were the two things I didn't like. I will say I've got one beef with the new iPhone. I had one of those Bluetooth OBD2 readers that you put in your car, like when you have car problems, you want to know what the check engine light's all about.
Yeah.
And so you can Bluetooth to your phone, and it says, oh, you've got a code P0995 or whatever, and then you look that up, and it's like, oh, you didn't tighten the gas cap.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, I have one of those little reader things that goes on to the OBD2 thing in the car. And when I got my iPhone won't talk to it. I had to go out and buy a whole other one that was iPhone compatible. And I haven't even tested it yet. I just got it in the mail 2 days ago, and I just haven't bothered with it yet. But if it does not work, and I've actually read like a lot of reviews that said like 80% of these things don't work with iPhone. They really like Android devices. I misplaced, like I can actually still, my Android phone still works. I don't know where it's at in my house now. If I could find it, I could charge it and just use it. My OBD2 sensor thing, just use it as a standalone device, honestly. But yeah, that's my other beef with the Apple right now is that particular thing. Just the Apple doesn't seem to want to talk to a lot of Bluetooth devices for some reason. I don't know what that's about.
So that brings me, we've got some rapid fire questions.
Right.
So that brings me, we've got a few of them, not a lot, but a few.
Okay.
So we'll start out with Apple versus Android.
I really don't, this is what, that's funny because we started this whole podcast because I'm opinionated, but there are things like this. Okay, so there was a time when I was very Apple centric. I started out, my first computers were Apples. I bought one of those, first, no, it was a second generation, what was that thing called? The big all-in-one, it was like a big, like
but they were like,
it was an iMac. Yeah, it was the first
iMac. Yes,
it was the second iMac. I had the ruby red iMac. That was the last Apple computer I bought. It was a good computer and it lasted a while, and I liked it, and it was great because back in the day, the thing about Apples was like they didn't get viruses because nobody wrote viruses for Apples because
right.
only less than a third of the computer users were on Apple. And it was like, no, let's just write the virus that hits the most people, So it was cool for that. And so I leaned to Apple, and they're good with design, right? Like that was really what their angle was design. Like you would see an Apple product, you go, wow, that really looks sweet,
Right.
But when it came down to it, I mean, I remember after the iMac finally got to its age of obsolescence, and I was like, oh, I got to replace this thing. And I was looking around, and it was just, I could have got another Mac product for like $4,000, or I could get an equally fast PC product for like $1,500. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to spend the money on this anymore. It's just crazy. So at that point, I switched. And then I went through a little phase for a while because I had gotten a bunch of viruses after I switched back to PCs. I went through a little phase where I would get a new laptop and I would immediately download Ubuntu on it and use that. It's kind of as a fuck everybody. I'm just gonna, I'm just Ubuntu. But that got bothersome too because you can't get programs for Ubuntu, and I just was like, all right, enough, fine. Again, I use at home. My home use of a computer is mostly internet. Photography a little bit, internet. Every now and again I revise my resume.
Right, which you could totally do on really either.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I use Apple. So it's funny because I only use Apple for my phone. I have an iPhone, but everything else falls into. I have a PC. I have a HP laptop that I use. I don't like Apple computers, and the reason, which is weird because they're kind of opposite. The reason I like Apple phones is because you don't have to think a lot to use them. They just work. Yeah. Like with Android, you have to update and do a bunch of things, and you have all these add-ons, and you can add all. I don't like that. I just want to turn it on and have it work. So iOS works really well for a phone. But for my computer, I don't want to deal with any of that. I just want to have my computer and set it up like I like it. So the second question, which you already answered, was PC versus Mac, and I think you've already answered that. Like the old commercials. Remember the old commercials with that Justin guy and John Hodgman?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love John Hodgman, though.
I like John Hodgman, too. As a matter of fact, if you're not listening to our podcast, blog, whatever you want to call this, he's got a fine one that I used to like called Judge John Hodgman, where he hears people's complaints about things and tries them like a judge.
Yes.
It's pretty funny podcast. He's a funny guy. But I have a stronger opinion about John Hodgman than I do about PCs or Macs, honestly. I mean, if you like one, like it. I don't give a crap. I mean, you're going to spend more money on the Mac. That's the thing,
Right.
I guess, what kept me on the Mac thing for a while was I had bought a bunch of peripherals for my Mac. Like I had the Mac printer and I had a zip drive. You remember zip drives? Oh my God, those things.
Yeah. I still actually I sometimes refer to thumb drives as zip drives, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. And I realize what I've said, but it's too late at that point.
So to prove how Gen X we are, when we were kids, you had floppy disks which held 3.25 megabytes. That's basically a bunch of text files, maybe one MP3, right? If you're lucky.
Which didn't even exist at the time, really.
It didn't exist at the time, but or a handful of images. Like you put like 17 pictures on a floppy.
Yes, so, I remember in college I turned in assignments on floppy, and it was literally just like one term paper.
Yeah, they were so stupid. They held like nothing. And so then they came out with this thing called the zip drive, which it had 100 megabytes, and that blew our minds at the time.
Right.
And it was this external drive. It looked like a floppy disk, but a little bit thicker, but it held like it was 100 floppies basically or something, right? And you were like, wow, I can finally put like actual things on here. So at me, I was an art major in college, and so being able to put like more than one Photoshop file on a single disk, you were like, wow, this is great. Here's the problem though. Those things got corrupt so easily. And like sometimes your disk would get corrupt. If you stuck a corrupt disk into a non-corrupt zip drive, it would corrupt your zip drive. And then your zip would just go click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, and that's all it would do. Here's the crazy thing. So the iOmega company who made the zip drive, if you said, hey, I got the click clack, they'd be like, oh, you got the click clack? Well, just send it back and we'll send you a new one. And they did that. And I think they went bankrupt from that nonsense because they had a product that failed all the time, but they would replace it. And I mean, I give them 100% credit for replacing it, for like standing behind your product. But on the other hand, like you can't, that's not sustainable, right? Like, I replaced that zip drive. And here's the thing also, though. This will annoy me. Okay, yeah, great. I got a free zip drive out of it. Like they always replaced my broken zip drive. However, it didn't resolve my issue. Whereas my disc was corrupt. Now the discs were $15 a piece, or
Right.
something like that. So you were out $15 anyway, and you lost all your data. But you got a new drive out of it. So anyway, they failed and folded. I don't want to happen to them, but that's just a little anecdote about the old days, the before times.
The before times, literally, because we are from the Stone Ages. So PC gaming versus console gaming.
I'm a console person. I'll go further and say I'm a cartridge person.
Whoa, like old ass Atari.
I likes to kick it old school. Why not have to be Atari? It could be Nintendo. Nintendo 64 was actually my jam. That was like a peak to me. That's the apex of gaming. Okay, and here's why. Here's why I like console gaming, and here's why specifically I like cartridge gaming. You get home from work, you're tired. I just need to play some Mario Kart 64, right?
Right.
I don't got 20 minutes to wait. I want to get a game in right now. You put on a console, you flip it on, boop, 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 you're playing a game, right? If you have a computer, you got to wait for the computer to be like, Windows has got to run updates, blah, blah, blah. 4 hours later, okay, I want to play my game now. Oh, your game has updates, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Wait another hour and a half. Okay, so now my game's finally updated. It's been 6 hours. I've been wanting to play my game. I've waited for the update. They get on. Okay, now it's got to like try and connect to the internet or whatever the fuck, and it's like, oh, turns out the game server's down tonight, or I don't know, or maybe it's all working. If let's say best case scenario, it's working fine. It still takes 20 minutes to load everything. You got like you're sitting in this like waiting area and it's like loading and it's playing some music or something. I just wanted to play the game. Like maybe I only had a 20-minute attention span for gaming tonight, and all I want to do off Steam and play a few rounds of a game and call it a night. Flip it on, I'm playing my game, now I'm done. Good day. That's my thing.
I love it. I actually have zero opinions. I have played RPGs on MMOs on PCs. I didn't have an Atari. I had a television. I played in college. We had a Sega Genesis. After college, we had a PlayStation 1 and then a PlayStation 2. I'm just not that kind of gamer. I'll play MMOs, but that's about the extent of it. And then I'm usually online because that's literally the only way you can play an MMO.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not a big gamer. Let me caveat that. I'm not a big gamer. And when I do game, I mostly like I like the kind of games you play socially.
Yes, me too.
And I don't usually mean socially like MMORPGs. I mean like in the same room with my friends. Like my friends are coming over. I like to sit like Mario Kart. That's my end all be all of good game. It's a game you can play quickly. You can play a round or two. You're not invested in it. You have a good time. You and your friends play it. You race against each other, or you play the battle or whatever the heck. It's just good fun times. I like computers. Those are also fun when I'm in the room with somebody and we're shooting at each other or we're playing together. I actually really like the only game besides Nintendo 64. The only other game I really like that's in my top 3 of good games was probably Halo, the first Halo on the original Xbox. But even that, I played it in the room with my buddy. We played cooperative. He would tank. I would hang back and snipe everything. It was good times. We had a good time playing it. I don't really like – I'm not terribly competitive. So,
right.
Except for once in a while, like let's say Mario Kart. Yeah, I'll play Mario Kart competitively, but, or some other racing game maybe. I like Colin McRae rally game or something like that back in the day. That was a good time. I don't play a lot of games though. I'm not a huge gamer. Last thing I really got reeled into was I played Overwatch for a few minutes because my son was into it. And I will say this, I think my first person shooters are probably my third or fourth favorite game style. I'm not crazy about it, but what I loved about Overwatch was a couple of things. Overwatch had they did a good job of stacking things. Like you had to build a proper team. It was like an RPG game kind of. Like
Right.
you had to have a tank, you had to have a healer, and you had to have a sniper or whatever. You know, like you had to balance the team out. That was kind of neat. So everybody had their value in that, and they had everything nerfed out pretty well, so that um, nobody was overpowered really. And when they were actually, their updates would fix it like within a month usually. Like
Right.
people playing, like they'd say this character's crazy, and they'd be like, all right, well we fixed it. You know,
Exactly.
and the people who mained that character might get a little mad, but everybody else would be like, no, this is better. But it was cool because like it balanced everything out, and it would put you in a based on your gameplay, it would put you in like a tournament or whatever with people who were at your level, kind of. So you were never like frustrated, and you didn't feel like you were just being like pawned all the time. You know, it wasn't
Right.
like like this is the thing. When I remember, I loved Halo, but when Halo became an online whatever, you would go in there, and then there was always some 12-year-old who had all day to sit on the game and get good at it. Would just like as soon as you came out, he'd be like, psh, pawned, haha, and you couldn't have any fun that way. And so
Yeah.
this is the thing. Overwatch like corrected all that kind of stuff. It was a fun game to play. Additionally to that, demographically, all the characters they had different ethnic groups. They had robots. They had people of different age levels. I mean, the one I played the most was this. It was this older white dude. Now later on they retconned him, so he was gay. I don't care. It's fine. It wasn't important to the story really, but whatever. If he was, that's fine too. I don't care. But I'm just saying, like the point was that there was a character you could identify with, no matter who you were. You could find a character to play and go, that person's like me,
Yeah.
and I think it was great because it was like the first time I think a game ever gave that consideration. Now they had some missteps. Sometimes they would get fussed at because they release these special skins for holidays and things. I think one time there's an Indian character, and they released a special skin one time where she looked like Krishna. And
Right. Yes.
they caught some grief over that, but they apologized. I mean, they were like, "Oh, we're sorry, we didn't think
Right. Right.
really
And
relevant it might be to somebody." But I don't know. I think they tried. That's the thing. They really tried to be inclusive to people, and it was a great game. And it had a cool backstory, and it was a fun game to play. And I know your partner Matt played it for a while too.
he is upset. He's still playing it. He is playing it right now. I think it's what's getting him through this quarantine. So shout out to that.
People, I think.
And
And next week we're going to talk about cosplay, and I actually cosplayed that character that I'm talking about.
yes, absolutely. Can't wait for that. And all I want to say about video games, because we could probably do a whole show on video games, even though neither of us are gamers, but because I'm not really. But the one thing I hate, like hate with like hate, is player versus player gaming. Because exactly that purpose, I want to be on the game and play the game and have fun with the game. And if I show up on the game and some asshole comes up and kills me 2 seconds later, like one did once when I was in college, he killed me because he said I had a stupid name, and I was so mad. I hate that. I hate that so much.
No, you don't want to be grieved like every time you launch the game, then bam, I'm dead, and then bam, I'm dead.
Look, I'm not that good at playing. I just want to play. And when I was in college, we played MUDs, which were the multi-user dimension, blah, blah, blah. And so it's all text-based. And one summer, I actually gave my character to a friend who liked to just grind. So she would log in as my character and include her on her team and grind until my character, without me playing, achieved God status. Because once you're a god, you can't be killed. And all I wanted to do was not be killed. All I wanted. So, and when you were a god, you could like create areas and stuff. So I could do things like that. But so we have been going for an hour and we have a little bit of business to take care of. So let's go. Wait, let me change the banner. Let me do this officially. Mailbag. So we only have one question. Actually, it's not even a question. It's an opinion. It's an opinion. Yeah, mostly. Anonymous from Chillicothe, Ohio says, "This isn't even a podcast." Technically, I think they're right.
Yeah, I guess it's a vlog technically or something.
A vlog of, my sister said, I think my sister asked that question once. She was not the person that wrote this, unless she is, but she wasn't. And you suggested that we were a vidcast.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is fair. But yeah, also, we don't care. Like,
yeah, whatever.
We're doing this live. And speaking of which, we're live on Facebook, as always. But tonight, for the first time ever, we were trying to live stream to YouTube.
Yeah.
So we're going to see if that worked. We don't know if it did. We'll find out.
We'll find out later. We're trying to expand our horizons in case. I've got a few friends who are anti-Facebook, like they don't have Facebook accounts, and I feel bad for those people. And so all of our archives are on YouTube also.
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to offer us up to another platform so that the people who really hate Facebook can find us somewhere.
So now, if it worked right, this live streamed on Facebook or on YouTube, so you can watch it either place, live at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. So we'll find out after this if it worked. It seems to. Yeah. It appears that it did. So moving on, Bill, things that are extra. Wait, let me do this officially again. Things that are extra. What do you have for us this week?
Thank you emails. So this is related, kind of, sort of. So it works sometimes. Like you'll do a thing, like somebody will send you an email and they'll say, "Hey, can you make a change to this thing, or can you take care of this, whatever?" And you do it, and you say, "Okay, it's done," or whatever. And then they send you another email that says, "Thank you." And this makes me sound like an asshole, I'm sure, but it bothers me because I look at email as like a workflow thing, right? Like, I took care of this. I took care of it. It's off my plate. It's off my plate. So when you send me one more email, even just to say thank you, I mean, I did my job. I did what I was asked to do. And you send another email, and then it's like, bing, oh, here's something in your inbox to take care of now. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, what now? You know, and you're like, oh, thank you. It's just a formality. I mean, I know they mean well, and, you know, but you know, like when it depends on what your function is, I suppose. But when your function mostly is things that come into your inbox, it's kind of frustrating because it looks like a thing.
It does look like a thing. Wait, you froze up right there. You always freeze up in the best moments.
But it's not a thing, is what I said. It looks like a thing.
And yes, and I think it would be different if you weren't working from home, because if somebody asked you to do a thing and you did a thing and then they said thanks, you'd be like, you're welcome.
Yeah, if it was a live thing, it wouldn't bother me. It just bothers me because it's coming at me through the computer, and I'm like, well, I don't need another thing in my inbox.
Right.
Also, I gotta say, and this is kind of because my previous job handled email poorly. And they had everybody on every email group, and I got like 400 emails a day, and I'd say 90% of it didn't pertain to me at all. And so I spent a lot of time weeding through it and throwing stuff away and cleaning up inboxes. And every third day, my inbox was full and jammed up, and you had to delete some things or you couldn't move forward.
Right.
And it was just because they didn't know how to manage email correctly. Also, if there was ever an Excel file, they didn't share Excel files. They emailed you an Excel file. And it was constantly all day long a barrage of emails, and all those emails had an Excel file attached to them. So your inbox got cleared up so quickly.
Yes.
So anyway, this is probably largely a reaction to that job, and it doesn't have anything to do with this job. But I've developed already a hatred for like superfluous emails now because of that job, and I'm like, don't email me if it's not really a thing, you know. So.
Well, and I'm with you on the attachments. I have a client, and I love them dearly, which is why I changed this process with them. where I was sending them multiple Word documents at a time. And then they would edit those Word documents and send them back to me. And then I would re-edit them and send them back to them. And then those documents would get lost along the way. So I'm like, this is the moment where I stopped using, well, I use Microsoft Word. I still use it to write, but I'm like, we're gonna set up a Google Drive, because then you can edit it in the Google Drive and you're not, nobody's losing it. It's right there.
Right.
So, and it has worked out. But yes, I'm totally with you on the too many attachments. All right. So that brings us to the end of our show. I have on my notes that housekeeping and like and subscribe. So because we're now on 2 platforms, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Right.
Please.
If you're on YouTube, be sure to like leave some comments down below. You know, use vulgar words, because I think that's how YouTube works. Be sure to call me names.
Absolutely. Plus, you can tell us your opinions. Like, if you think we're dumb,
you can rebuke and retort if you feel like. I'm probably not going to read it. I don't care. No, I jest. I'll probably care. I mean, I won't care if you call me names, but I'll care. Anyway, that's the end of our show. I just want to throw out this show is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions are those of Bill and not Laura Lavoie, except unless they came out of her mouth, in which case they're her opinions, and maybe not mine. If we both agree, in which case then they're both of our opinions.
That is exactly right. That is the case. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be back next week with a brand new topic, which we actually know, which we don't normally, because we usually do this by the seat of our pants. Next week is cosplay, so we know you're going to want to join us for that, and we might have pictures if it works. So see you next week, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Y'all come back, man.
You hear?